All right. Looks like we are live now. Okay. As far as teaching topics today, going to the Google Drive, who had, I know we were looking for Keith to teach away because he's an all-star.
Yeah, I'm actually trying. I did my code on my laptop, so I'm getting it onto my regular desktop that I'm on right now, real quick. But hopefully, I'll have that ready in a second. So, do we have another teaching thing today too?
That's why I'm checking the
I
Google
can
Drive
if
right
you want
now.
me to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, because it might take me just another minute or so to get this on here.
That's
So,
cool. Yeah.
okay,
I,
or
I
just a
know.
second.
I know. I said I was gonna do JUnit, but I could do a HTTP URL if anybody wants me to. I finally got my thing working.
Yeah, if you want
Um,
to do that, we haven't. I don't know that we've covered it yet, have we?
I'm doing HTTP
Oh,
communication today, but we might be doing different things with it. It's pretty broad, so
Not a bad idea.
mine's pretty specific.
mine just basically downloads the code from like the Google web page, so almost like if you're building a web browser or something like that. So I don't know how much overlap there is with yours, but if you guys want, I can grab my here. I'll just grab my laptop real quick so I can get this code transfers
Okay.
over.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Yep.
Go for it.
Sorry, my son was up. What were we talking about?
We're just deciding who's going to teach what tonight. So both Keith and Jacob have a little bit to cover on HTTP, and it'd be interesting to get two different perspectives. I think it'd be kind of cool for me. So, if you
Sounds
have any
great.
objections to
Well,
that?
I was
Yeah.
really lost in HTTP too, so that's another. I feel like I'll be happy to have the help with that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm fine with us both doing it. It's not a
Yeah,
big deal.
maybe good to get two different perspectives there. That'd be good. Hey,
Yeah.
John, how are you, John? Can't hear you yet. So you may be on mute. Jacob, do you want to do yours first while Keith's getting set up?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, I want to make you the presenter then. It's all yours. Everybody else can go on mute while he's going. That'd be great.
All right. Are we good? Are we good?
Yep. Floor is yours.
All right. Cool beans. Well, I guess let's share my screen first. So you can kind of see what's going on. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, coming through. Thanks.
Okay. So this is literally. Well, I've done multiple things with HTTP URL connection, kind of like what Keith had. This one right here. I don't know why the text is bigger. It's really weird. But this one opens up a connection to you'vegotmail.warnerbrothers.com because I needed an old website to see if it would work. And what this one does is it opens a connection to the website, and I'm not sure if Keith is doing this one or doing something like it. But what it does is it pulls back all the HTML code inside that site. So I'm not exactly 100% positive how I got this one to work. I was looking at a lot of examples that people did online. But this one is the one that I'm most proud of at the moment. This is one that I built myself using a different library in Java called JSoup. And what it does is it goes to a website that I've created, so this Kansas sales tax, which you can see here, just a simple website. This is the Kansas sales tax. That's what it is right there, 6.5. And what this does is it opens up a connection to that website, and this is where this is going to be like whatever the user selects. So this isn't going to be hard-coded. It's going to be whatever state the user selects. It'll drop it into the website. And then what it does is it opens a connection to the website, finds the first p tag that's in that website, and then reduces it down to the number that I had it in, and that's what I'll use to get my sales tax for whatever state that you happen to be in. So that's just a quick and dirty HTTP URL connection. I was pretty proud of this one when I got it to work. So, yay me.
So on that first example, is it just pulling basically like a view source off the website page there?
This
Is that
one
what that is? Yeah, that first one, the URL reader. You're saying is just pulling that website's content? Is it essentially like doing a view source?
Yeah, it's like doing a view source.
Remote? Okay.
It literally it grabs the entire HTML code, as you can see here.
Or
Here's
that.
the closing HTML tag.
Cool.
So this is the web page.
Nice. Okay.
Interesting enough, that was something I was playing around with to see if I could get the HTML code back. And then this is the one I used to refine it down to get a specific piece of information that I wanted.
Can I ask why you use the JSoup library?
Well, the JSoup library is so far the only library that I've seen that does it.
Okay.
That'll let me return specific HTML tags. Because this one finds the p tag. So if I went through and here, actually right here. Let's comment those out real quick. So if I went through and did this with LDS.org, let's see if it'll run it. Nope, that's still not the right one. It returns all their p tags inside of LDS.org on that web page.
That's really cool to see in Java. I used to do that in PHP quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've never
cool.
done it in anything else. Well, I've done it in VBA once, but never in Java. So when I got this to work, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited. So yeah, that's my quick and dirty of HTTP URL connection.
So in talking of terms of our app, we could kind of use this as a way to fetch sales tax information for the app from
That's exactly what I was thinking of doing.
another host site. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah. Stop screen sharing.
All right, Keith, you ready?
I am. So mine's actually pretty much the same thing that Jacob just showed. It's a little different. His is better, but so just a second here. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys see that?
It's a little blurry. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right. So mine's very similar. I'll kind of go into a little bit more depth on this one because he explained more about the other method, which is great. So mine's very similar. So first of all, I have a method called download web page, and then I have another one called read stream. So mine's using a little bit different stuff than his, but it's pretty close. So there's a couple of different things I've implemented here. One called HTTP URL connection, and then one called URL. These are libraries I'm using. And of course, input stream reader, input stream, buffered reader. Anyway, so basically what I'm doing first of all here is this URL class that I'm implementing actually can handle the URL directly. So I'm saying I want a new URL and put it in here. And I could actually, have this as an input string for this method or something if I wanted to. And then I'm just naming that URL. And then I'm creating a HTTP URL connection using that class. And I'm using this URL.open connection as well. So basically,
Sorry, that class is in those libraries that you included?
yeah, those are just libraries I included. So as a matter of fact, and NetBeans knows about them. So if I actually take that out, and I mean it knows that those are, exist. So they're pretty standard Java libraries. So I didn't have to do anything fancy to find those or anything like that. So right here it's creating the connection, and I just have it called con. And so then I want to basically create a stream, like basically a stream of bytes, to transfer the data with this read stream. And basically that's what I created down here. So right here I'm just giving it the connection and then .get input stream, which is get input stream is a method in this HTTP URL connection class in that library. So now if we go back down to my read stream here, it's taking the input stream, and then I'm using String Builder. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with String Builder. It basically just allows me to read each line of the file and then assign it to one variable. This is slightly different than the way Jacob did it. Basically, the reason I did it this way, and actually I like the output of Jacob's better, honestly, but just a regular string, if you ever try to add anything to it, every time you do that, it's actually recreating that variable, so it's a really big memory hit, whereas String Builder, you can keep adding stuff to it, and then back here at the end, I just converted it back to a regular string. So I'm taking buffered reader, that's once again just a class from the library. That's just going to take this input stream and it's going to put it into a reader. And you'll see this a lot with like database connections and stuff like that, like a reader. And so I use like a reader all the time at work in C# for our database connections. So it'll be like have everything in the reader object, and then basically you can pull it out into something else. So right here I'm just initializing this string next line that I'm using during this process, and I'm just making it empty. And then basically this is kind of an interesting syntax here, so hopefully it makes sense. But basically it's saying that as long as the line that's being read on the reader is not null and it's equal to the next line, then we're going to append next line. And so basically we're just getting, this is the string builder right here. So every line of that website is just going to get put as a new line in the string builder, essentially. And then we just convert it to a string and return it. So right here it comes back out as our string, read string. And then I just print that out. Okay, so, and then just of course the normal exception handling. And then my main method here, I'm just creating an instance of that class and just calling the download web page function. So the input is not very pretty, or the output, because I haven't actually had it formatted. But see, it actually outputs the entire thing on one string, which the nice thing about this, I guess, is you can output that into a file or whatever you want, and you can split it up more the way Jacob did too. So this is just one way of doing it. But yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
That's super cool.
Just one thing I want to throw in there. With mine, the library that I use, that JSoup, that's not one that's included in IntelliJ or any other IDE that I've seen. I had to add that library manually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just kind of in there. So the way Keith did it is, I think it's nicer because it's all built in.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to the third-party libraries. They sometimes do more specific things.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's why I went with the JSoup, because I wanted just one specific tag.
Exactly. That was awesome. The JSoup thing, I didn't run across that in my research, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky finding that one, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Way to go, Keith.
Any other questions or anything, or are you guys good?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So, Jiong, did you have any stuff you want to do team teaching on this week for any stuff that you've covered already? Not getting any audio from you right now. Check your microphone. Sorry, we can't hear you. Is it just me, guys, or can anybody else hear Jiong?
No, I can't hear him.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm up and down. Yeah.
Check the settings at the top of Google Hangouts. There's an option to pick your microphone. Check that, and then check the volume on that device. All right. While he's looking for that, if you guys want, I've got the wireframe that I was putting together that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see it.
Go over that real quick, and then we can dive into kind of stubbing out the code. So,
yeah.
Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So, hopefully it's showing my screen now. Is everybody seeing my screen okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I went to do a wireframe. I basically just use PowerPoint. I don't know what you guys normally use. I looked online. There's some online tools for mockups and stuff. And honestly, I've just used PowerPoint so much that it was actually pretty easy for me to throw stuff together here. And so I took the general design that Jacob had initially put together and kind of played with it a little bit. I added some stuff that I normally see in some of the apps that I've used, like up in the top left corner, kind of like a user menu up here. You know, the addition button to add new items, and then essentially your list of carts, and then with like some sort options where you can sort by date or name, or maybe set your own priorities, whatever we want to add to that. But I don't think that'd be a difficult control to add to sort the lists.
Probably not.
So
And it's actually done automatically, or if you use the right classes,
Okay.
Android Studio will do it for you.
yeah, okay, good. And then so this pop out here, if I were to hit this pop out right here, that's this wire frame right here. Let me pop that up. Where basically it'd pop out and you'd have like your username. So basically you can sync it across your other devices when you log in with your Gmail account or whatever it is you're connecting to the program. Got options for, you know, and we can come up with whatever we want to add, but, you know, like a notes options, archive, so you can archive certain carts, a trash can, where after you delete a cart, you can go and recover it. Search features, so if your lists get pretty lengthy, you can go search across all the lists from here. Setting some theming settings, and then like a like us on Facebook type thing. So just some generic, I was just kind of plugging in things that you would normally see in that type of a menu. Any thoughts or comments on that?
No, it looks good.
Okay.
I mean, it definitely looks a lot better than what I came up with.
Yeah, I was just, like I said, I just got carried. What I did is I kind of mimicked an app I use quite a bit that's similar to what you were trying to design, but it's more for creating to-do lists. It's called Color Note, so if you guys ever want to go check it out, that's really what I modeled most of my design after. So back to
Looks
the
great.
main part. Go ahead.
I just think it looks good.
Okay.
Sorry.
So back from the main one. So basically from here, when you click on an actual cart, it would, oh sorry, so I have the add button. So if you hit the add button to add a new cart, that's going to pop open this view here where you basically put in a name. You can add a description or notes, which Summer we talked about last week when I wanted to have an area to put some notes. You then key off of a city and state drop down to go identify and pull the tax rate for that store. Okay. Any other items that we need to add to this, or I think it's kind of everything we talked about previously, but anything else you guys might recommend?
I think that's definitely comprehensive.
Okay.
I'm wondering, and this might be like a stretch goal for us, if we can have location services plug in the current city state.
Probably could, and that'd be a nice like future grab for us. I was thinking the same thing, but I was
Right.
kind of like, let's
Like an
shelve that
overhead
for
goal.
now. Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot. Yeah, you could definitely do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's actually not as hard to do as it sounds because there's so many libraries for it. Like you don't have to write the code yourself for that. So
Right. Okay.
it's
I think it'd
pretty.
be cool to tie in that, but also like you know, when you're driving around with your phone, you want to go to a certain store, pull up your Google Maps, and have it give you directions. Like tie in not only your location, but then also direction. You can
That'd be
launch stuff
nice.
like that.
Yeah, there's APIs for that stuff. So it's actually pretty easy to do.
Okay.
To do navigation in there too, or you could even just have it so it can pick up a location of the store and it pulls into your regular navigation app, you know, or whatever. So
Yeah.
so
All right. So that's definitely a future goal. That'd be kind of fun if we can get to that point. So going back to the main screen off here, if you click on one of the actual carts, you'll see there's dates, and this is basically your date of last activity, last edits to that particular cart. And then when you click on an actual cart, it expands out. At the top, it gives you a quick blurb of your tax rate, kind of like a small little header at the top with your current cart name, where you could click up in here and rename it if you wanted to. Or you could change on the fly to a different cart without having to go back to the main menu through a drop-down. So you can toggle carts from this view without, again, having to return to the main view. just adding items. Try to keep it pretty simple. Quantity. You can punch in then your cost, and then it would auto-calculate cost with tax.
I like that.
Okay. So item count at the bottom, your total number of items, total cost, and then cost with tax. Confirm, cancel. Just basic. Try to be very consistent with the controls as far as cancel and confirm and placement of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last item I had was the add new item piece. And so when you click the plus button here to add a new item, you can basically key in then the item cost, and then your quantity. And I should probably change that order to be consistent with the table on the prior screen. So you probably put quantity and then price. And then just default the quantity to 1. Have the user go, well, I don't know, maybe you should put item price first and default quantity to 1. And then unless they want to change that, what would you guys do there?
Well, so the thing about quantity is it could be like, you know, $5 for a 5-pound bag of cuties. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have an app that I use, a calorie counter app, and that's flexible. I should see if I can figure out how they do that. Like it automatically adjusts depending on what the item.
Based on the quantity you select, yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. Cause
yeah, if we can find a way, I don't know if it would be, would you add it as an item of, you know, a multi-purchase of cuties. You know, if I buy 2 bags, I get a different item price.
Right.
Or that'd be good if we can figure out how to, because that would be something I know my wife would want to see. So, I like the idea. One wireframe part that I left out, again, this isn't a great wireframe, but one thing they had in the top right corner, I'll just explain it, and then I'll go ahead and add it in later, but basically it was a quick menu where instead of popping out the left menu here and it covering the screen, the quick menu up in the top right will allow you to change your view from a list to grid, or change your colors or your sort options. And it would list all the options versus hitting a drop down on the view. So not sure that's necessary because you can access all the stuff here, so it'd be more of like a future reach if we want to go and add that quick submenu there. And so that's what I've got so far. So I put it in PowerPoint. I don't know if anybody recommends a different tool to do that in, but if you guys are okay with that, I'll just copy that up to the team drive and we'll just call it good for now.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it, because I've tried out a bunch of these tools online, and most of them either cost money or they suck. So.
Right. When it comes to diagramming, what do you guys use? Do you have anything? Because I don't have Visio.
I
use Draw.io online.
Draw.io? Okay.
Yeah, I saw that you used Draw.io, Summer, and I used that too for a couple things, but I was like, when I looked at yours, it was super small and I couldn't tell what it was, and I was like, I wonder if that's going to be the same as mine.
You can, yeah. When you click on it in the Google Drive, you only see the teeny tiny versions. You have to actually open them in the Draw.io webpage, which is a pain. And honestly, it's not a great tool. It's not. The only benefit is that you can have multiple people developing on it at once.
Yeah.
Well, and Draw.io, like when you open in the Google Drive, it should have a button to open in Draw.io right there. At least it did last time I looked at it. So.
Yeah.
But I sent it off to Troy, and I didn't know if he saw it or not, and I was like, I hope these aren't going to be super small.
But if you're, like, Jacob, you should be able to get Visio for free for your student. So.
Yeah, I should. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to learn to do Visio. I was too lazy.
I mean, Visio is kind of the industry standard. I mean, there's other options out there, too, but it's very widely used.
No,
it's a really good tool, but...
You're saying Visio is a standard for wireframes?
Not for wireframes, for diagramming.
For other UML?
For UML and stuff like that. You can do wireframes in Visio. It's not really built for that, but you can. So I'm fine with PowerPoint for that. So.
Oh, yeah, I haven't used PowerPoint for that either.
Yeah, that's great. Quick question, though. So Summer and I were talking when we were working on the class diagram about kind of our design concept for, I guess, the basic framework that our app works off of. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's 2 different ways of approaching it. Do you have the idea of cards or lists? and we kind of settled on, at least from the software side of things, just a list, because you can make the list be a cart or a list, either way, and they really have the same properties, so it can be one class. So that doesn't really matter, but as far as the way the user sees it, like originally we talked about carts, and that's kind of what Jacob's original, I think, wireframes was showing different carts. But what I was thinking now is that most people's, I guess, concept of a cart is when they're actually like shopping on Amazon or something. Carts are things that are already like in the cart, ready to buy.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do we want to have lists, like shopping lists, and then when you're actually at the store, when you like have the item in your cart, you just hit add and it puts it in the cart. But in both places, it can still show you how much it costs. I don't know how you guys want to structure that. And Jacob, it's kind of your idea, but that was just a question I had, I guess.
Well, my idea was that you would add the item while you're walking around the store. So, like,
Yeah.
after you put it in your physical cart, you're like, oh, okay, I added this. This is how much it costs, kind of thing.
So, but do you guys think it would be also be good to have it so people could make a shopping list in there first as well, or? I don't know.
I mean, I think the whole point of this, being able to save carts and items and stuff like that, is so, if I understand where you're going with this style, so you can put the items in there, and then if you needed to go back and like edit the item, say, okay, this one wasn't this much, this was this much, or we can say, these are the items that I wanted before I get there. Now that I'm there, this is how much they are, and this is the total cost. What's going to hit?
So I was thinking a way that might be pretty easy to do that. I don't know. You guys can give me your feedback on this, but would be okay. So you have like shopping lists that you can use if you want to. You don't have to. You could just add kind of on the fly as you're shopping if you want, just to see how much it costs. But you have the option of having a list. So you can be looking at your shopping list, and as you find items, you might have set like a preliminary price, like an estimate, so you kind of roughly know how much your shopping trip is going to cost, but it's not going to be right on. So maybe as you add the item, it like pops up a little bar at the bottom or something, and you can correct the price or something, whatever. Something like that, though. I think that would be fairly easy to add the additional functionality of shopping lists with it, but we don't have to. It's just kind of an idea. So.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Jacob, this is your idea, and I don't really want to like derail it or take it over or anything.
No,
and other people, your opinions really matter. So
Well,
I was just wondering.
I'm curious, was the original design intent that it would actually allow you to basically like set all your items in your cart and then actually make the purchase off it, like an online store, or you're talking a physical store walking through and?
I had in mind of you being physically at the store, walking through and picking off, say, like a can of beans, putting it in your physical cart, and then saying, okay, this is how much it is.
Which is awesome, because if you're like trying to hit a certain budget on your shopping trip,
that's great.
Instead of pulling out a calculator and trying to add every item. Yeah, I like that. I was just wondering if we wanted to also have a shopping list functionality in there too. So, but
No,
I'm fine with either way. So.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have the shopping list functionality. That's fine. I have no problem with that.
I just think that they're so similar in the architecture between the cart and the list that it would probably be pretty minimal additional effort. So.
Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know how much extra work it would be, but basically having almost like a scan element to it where you can basically point it at the label in the store. Like you pre-make a budget or a list, what you expect the pricing to be, and then when you go in the store, you scan it against the actual existing price.
That was actually an idea that I thought of doing in the app as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in real world usage, that would be the killer feature. You know what I mean? Because like
scan the item, it's like, oh, here it is. This is how much it is.
Yep.
And there are databases out there. I haven't researched this at all, too, but like if you guys ever used like Red Laser or something, you like scan a barcode and it knows what the item is.
Yeah.
So it could get, usually they have a barcode and the price on the label. So in theory, this would be probably a little bit beyond the scope of this class, but you could scan the thing and it would get the price and know what item it was too.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that was something I thought of including, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that in time.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess what we could do, what I always like to do when I'm designing something like this is, even if I'm not going to do all the features in a version 1.0, it's smart to know what features you plan to implement because it could change the architecture, and you don't want to have to go and redo that later.
Right.
So I guess what we could do is, as we design this, kind of leave that spot open so that it works without it. But if we decide we want to add it in, or even if, Jacob
I mean, it would make
after
a
this
good
class or
stretch
whatever.
goal.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's a great functionality, but I also think we got to focus on getting a bulk of the app working too.
Right.
Yeah.
At this point, I doubt my ability to do even that. I mean, just based on the time we have and how slowly I'm learning. So,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't
think
know. I'm
we
not
should
feeling
make it a
optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying we should necessarily do it right away, but if we, as we build other things, just kind of architect our classes in such a way that it would be easy for something else to give us that source of the data. You know what I'm saying? Like design our methods so nothing's hard coded in. It's all stuff from methods. So all you'd have to do is, if you added some other third-party library or whatever that could do the scanning, all it would do is return the number, and that could plug right in. You know what I'm saying? So that would make it so that we don't have to do it to make the app work. But if we do decide to add it, because by some miracle we get things done really fast, then we're not having to go back and redo everything to make it work. Does that make sense?
I think that's a good goal because it'll help us follow good coding standards. Because the idea is you should develop your app with the idea of future improvements in mind, right? So
Yes.
hopefully that'll help us make code that's really independent and really functional. And flexible.
Yeah. You really want to make sure your code's not dependent on each other because things change and you might rebuild certain parts of the application. So if we can keep that in mind, I think it really does teach you good coding principles. So, but yeah, I think that'd be an awesome feature. Like if I was really going to use this app, that would probably be what would make it my go-to for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Not to get off topic, but that's a cute little bassinet in the background.
Oh yeah.
Getting excited?
I know. Well, dread/excitement. No, just kidding. But
Is your wife pregnant?
yeah. So.
It's exciting. My
Yeah.
wife and I just went to the doctor today and got our first ultrasound.
Oh, awesome.
Oh,
That's exciting.
congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So when's your guys' baby due?
September 10th.
Crazy stuff. Ours is due April 10th, which is 2 days after I graduate. So that could be
That's
interesting.
exciting.
So don't come early, baby.
Yeah, seriously, I'm like, if it comes during finals week, it's gonna be rough. No,
You might be pushing by yourself.
I know, right? My wife has made it clear though that I'm a dead man if I'm not there at the hospital when the baby's born. So if it's a final or being there, I know which way that's gonna go.
I'd like to think most professors would understand if your wife.
I would hope so. They'd be kind of heartless
My,
if they're like,
my
no.
husband's all were. And I was actually pregnant like at the end of the semester. So I talked to my professors and was like, I might have a baby and miss your final. They're like,
Yeah,
it's cool, we'll figure it out.
you're like, you hope
Especially
they
at BYU.
understand.
you know.
You can't really schedule that, so it's just
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's gonna be crazy because I'm like graduating and having a baby and starting, all this different stuff all at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Look at you.
Anyway,
You're like going to be a real grown up.
I know it's like I'm an adult or something. No, just kidding. I'm like, this is
Not having kids and
not
being a grown
good.
up. It has
I don't know if I'm mature enough to be a parent, but oh well.
Are you still recording this?
Yeah, we are. This is okay though. This is real life team stuff right here.
Yeah,
so-
part of being a team is, appreciating each other's qualities and experiences and
Hey, and this is part of our planning because if I drop off the face of the earth for the last week of class, you guys know why now. So,
There you
and
go.
it's recorded, so you guys can't say you didn't.
I've added a little barcode scanner icon to the add new item page.
Beautiful.
And we'll put it in there as just for mock-up, but it doesn't mean we have to do that. And so I agree with you.
Stretch goal.
It's better to put it in there knowing that we may add that at some point, but heck, it's really easy to not do that part of it. I think it would be a cool feature. So
It would be a way cool feature. Also, one thing to keep in mind, I think Brother Tuckett or Troy, I guess however he wants to call it, what's it called, I think I read somewhere that he said that the team apps aren't really going to be graded. They're going to be used mostly for understanding of code topics to get us strongly agree criteria.
yeah, I went back to the rubric and was checking that out. I've got it up on the screen here. There's one part there. Where was it? No, that's not it. Oh, I went and checked the syllabus. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. And it looks like he's got. Here it is. I'll put it up on the screen now. Got coding fluency at 35%, which is the individual work. App design and creation, 29%. Then professionalism at 22, and scheduling.
This comment seems to lead me to think that the app creation doesn't really matter as much.
I think he's more interested in just the team effort and the overall planning to include and incorporate the different coding topics. That was my understanding.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
I know he said for the individual app that we don't have to code it, but that it will make it easier for us to get
The strongly agree.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I that's probably the same for the team app, but I feel like it's going to be pretty hard to get even an agree unless it's actually in an app, because it's hard to integrate that stuff. Like if you're going to go to all the work of proving that you understand the concepts, you're basically made the app anyway. So
you can get an agree on some of the coding topics though without doing it. I've got a few agrees already.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the percentage of an agree is still like what, a C or something.
Oh, is it?
So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you have to get like a
But-
strongly agree if you want to get a decent grade.
Yeah. But honestly,
Well-
at this point, I only care about passing the class, so you get degrees in my case.
Yeah.
C's get degrees.
We'll strike that from the records.
Yeah, good call.
But like B. No, just kidding.
Can we rewind this
All
a
right.
little bit?
All right, so let's. Summer, you want to go and look at the code to see if we can start maybe stubbing out and get the ball rolling on that front?
Should we look at the class diagram first, real fast?
Sure. Yeah. Who's got that?
Summer
Hold up,
had
just
it.
a sec. I have a question for Keith and Jacob, since you guys are our resident experts, it seems. So, like I was saying at the beginning of the meeting, I'm wondering how with this Android Studio structure where it gives us all this back-end stuff, which is needed. There's a huge file structure in there. How are we supposed to separate out the MVC? Because as I'm going through and like developing practice apps, there's no separation. It's just wherever I can get the code to work. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. How are we
I
going to
would love
integrate?
to offer insight here, but I have no idea.
Okay, glad I'm not.
You're not the only one.
So, in my limited experience, MVC is one of those things that everybody's like, yeah, MVC is awesome, and then they don't do it. So, like real companies, like a lot of their stuff is not really MVC, and I don't know that the default projects in Android are actually really MVC. So, there's that caveat for you.
They're
So-
not.
So basically, if you really want it to be 100% true MVC, you don't start out with their sample projects. You build it straight from scratch.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work. So
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
even, because it's like even when you start a new project, if you're not, they put all this stuff in there. And I don't even know what half that stuff does. That's really frustrating for me as a coder to have stuff in my code that I don't know what it's doing. And there's so much that I don't feel like I'm going to be able to master it. And it's overwhelming. So I'm like, I can't go learn what every single one of these functions is doing and also learn what I'm supposed to be doing in this class. So.
yeah, jumping straight into a full-formed IDE is actually kind of dangerous for learning to code because you miss a lot of what's going on.
Right.
And so I think that there's some huge caveats here with jumping straight into Android Studio. I mean, we have to essentially at some point in time, but it's going to create code for you, and that's always going to be risky because you're not going to understand it. And so I think that's just an inherent, I guess, evil side of using this IDE, but we kind of have to. So, to be able to create the app. So I think what we'll have to do is just accept that we're not going to understand everything there, but try to build as much of our classes, that work with unit tests and everything. So we say, well, I don't understand all of this, but our classes, everything we built, according to my unit tests and everything, does what it's supposed to. So I think that's really the only thing we can do with the amount of time we have. So.
Yeah, I would definitely wouldn't let perfection get in the way of the goods. I think if we make an effort to try and have it NBC, but it's not perfect, I don't think we're going to get docked major points for that. So
Yeah.
We just are gonna. At least I feel like I'm probably gonna have to show my proficiency in a separate program.
yeah, for sure.
Yep, I agree.
So I've got this. This is the test app that I worked on this week. So I mean, I don't know how much you guys have done. I'm sure you've at least opened this by now, but you can see. Let's see, where's this? Sorry, I'm not familiar with all the shortcuts. There's structure. Show me this. Okay, maybe it's not showing me. There it is. So you can see there's like all these different libraries, and most of what I've done is under the source. Well, no. App, source, and then this kind of stuff. So where would we, like, if all of this is holding our front end stuff, so do we need to create, where would we put a library for like our database access, for example? I don't know where to put it and still have it interact with the app correctly.
External libraries? I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know where a database would go in that.
You can create additional folders, like so inside of like the main or the source folder or whatever, and you could create a model view and controller folders in there if you wanted to.
But this would be the best place to do it, here in main.
Yeah, but once again, a caveat: the view is already spread out in various places in this app before we even touch it. So. No, we can't really change that. So I think the more important part is that we divide up our controllers and models and go from there. So.
And so our Java code would go here under the Java folder, right?
Sorry, I was looking at the chat.
I was just saying, like so if I were to write stub.code, this would be where I'd want to put it under the Java file.
Yeah, for sure. We probably need to get this up on our repository though before we get too far here. I know you've been trying to do that, but I don't want you to spend too much time.
How to fix it.
Okay, I just didn't want you to spend a whole bunch of time subbing out code if we couldn't do anything with it. But we do definitely want to look at and make sure everybody agrees with our class diagrams and possibly add more stuff if they're not thorough before we start writing the code, because I'd hate for us to write a bunch of code and have it not fit together at all. So, yeah, so whatever you guys think, so.
I'm just reading a web app. I was just researching where to find the database stored in Android Studio, and I pulled up an article. I don't know if this is going to help or not. I'll put it in the chat. I'm just reading through it right now, and looks like, let's see, if you pull that back open somewhere, where's the Android Studio app?
I will pull it up.
Thanks.
And this is, like I said, not anything I was planning on using for our team, just something I was playing around with this week.
Yeah, I got you. Hit the little Android icon in the top icon list. It's the second to last icon all the way across.
Oh, here.
Yep. And then it's saying you'll get the following. Let me see. Is it coming up? Did it change the view?
Oh, that's just allowing the IDE access to a database, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like an actual online database and everything. So.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what that is.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Have you guys heard of MAMP?
No.
MAMP.
No.
That's what I use to run just a small, simple SQL server on my machine. You don't have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing super hard to get up and get going. Here, I'll paste the URL in the chat. But that's what I use to like host my websites when I'm testing my HTTP URL connection and stuff like that. I'll build my websites and put them in there and test it using like a regular HTTP : / whatever my website is. Okay. And I do that as well with a SQL database, so maybe that might be something you need to use. And I know I've got IntelliJ right now links to my database for whatever it's called, the one with the database in Java, Hibernate.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one called WAMP. I think that's what this one's based off of, but yeah, it's the same thing. So
Well, I
yeah,
also
there's a bunch of different ones.
NAMP.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I just did something that's kind of an experiment. Created an Android application with Android Studio, but what I did was I chose the one where it doesn't add any activities for you.
Yeah, a blank one.
Yeah, totally blank one.
That's what this one started as before building it.
So there's not as much stuff there right now, so I think it's a little bit more clear. We can still use the other one, but I just wanted to kind of see what it would start out with. So right here inside of this one would probably be where we would do it, because this is the test, and then the one above it is just the regular, package. So if we did like a new package in here, you could call it like controller,
Yeah.
and then a new one, or a model,
I was wondering if while we're on here, if you would show me. So I have IntelliJ installed, but I haven't started a project or anything in it.
Okay.
What's IntelliJ like? Is it like this where it does a lot of code generation for you, or is it more like NetBeans or Eclipse? Because I'm more familiar with Eclipse, or like when I first started, I used Emacs, which isn't even really an IDE; it's just a text editor. So I'm like, I prefer this where it's more hands-on, but I don't know. I have it, I just haven't opened it yet.
I don't have it installed on my desktop, actually. I just realized that. I have it on my laptop. So...
That's alright, maybe next week.
Well, yeah, but I guess to answer your question, though, IntelliJ is pretty similar to NetBeans and Eclipse, but it's not the same, though.
Right.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. Like it's good, but I don't think it's like I don't know. It's not like something that's going to totally change your life, in my opinion. I like it though. It does do a little bit more code hinting and stuff like that than NetBeans does, which is nice. But it doesn't, and it can build a little bit of code for you, but it's not on the level of Android Studio that way, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So, but
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. What is your stance on that, Jacob?
I don't know. I kind of like IntelliJ. It does not build any code for you except for like generating your main and stuff like that.
And can it generate like constructors and unit tests, just the basic stuff that NetBeans does? So that's about it, right?
Do that. It'll generate connection setters and all that other stuff if you want it to.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoy IntelliJ, but that's because I've been working with it the most lately. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good
What made you
idea.
switch?
Huh?
What made you guys switch to IntelliJ?
This class. When I took it the first time, that's what Brother Barney had us use was IntelliJ.
Uh-huh.
So I just stuck with it. I'm like, all right, why not?
Yeah. I think it's a good IDE, but and it does have some differences, but they're mostly like smaller, like code hinting differences and stuff like that. There's not like one huge feature I think that's like way above the others. So at least in my opinion, but I think it's a good IDE though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but what I think we can do though, one thing we can do is. I haven't gotten a chance to test this theory yet because I've been so busy, but I think we can actually like create the application in Android Studio, and you can open up the same project in IntelliJ. It'll create like an IntelliJ project file, but it can read at least all these Java files, and so if you really want to edit them in there, that's fine. It probably doesn't really matter too much either way because Android Studio is based off IntelliJ, but you can. So.
It is. I thought it was based off of Eclipse.
No, it's based off IntelliJ. You can get an Android plugin for Eclipse, so you can actually develop Android in Eclipse, but the Android Studio is based off of IntelliJ. Like, they licensed the part of the IDE. Like, when Google built Android Studio, they built it off of IntelliJ. So
That's good to know. That makes me want to try it out a little more.
yeah. So
Thanks for that. Let's do some administrative stuff over here. So next team meeting. Oh, that's the wrong one. Nope. Nope. We'll just go through all of them. Nope. No, really, this was the right one. Okay. Sorry. You guys want to do Wednesday again next week? Is that what works for you, Keith?
that should be fine. Yeah.
I'm good with any night next week. Basketball is over for my kids, so they lost on a buzzer beater last night. It was pretty heartbreaking.
Oh,
Man.
that's a bummer.
Third grade kids, and this one kid, literally 1 second left on the clock, throws it up from the 3-point line, or win point. Kids were devastated.
Oh,
Part of
that
the-
stinks.
Yeah,
That sucks.
This was close.
yeah, they played great.
That's not a fun thing to deal with though, as a kid. You're like, no.
Good life lessons, though.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Who wants to take minutes next week?
I will actually take minutes next week, and I promise I will remember to do it.
You'll do it? Okay.
Sounds great.
So
Can
let's.
set up the call.
Summer, you got that? Okay, cool.
Jong wants to be invited to the video call again.
I
Apparently,
sent him another invite. I've sent him 2 since he dropped off. I'll send him another again. All right.
Where is he? Is he up in Idaho?
I have no idea.
I don't know either, actually.
There are a few countries that actually do have restrictions on Google Plus, but it's like, you know, some of the dictatorships in Asia. I think those are
Yeah.
the only ones. But he, I don't know.
Yeah, send him another invite, so hopefully he's able to join on. But I think we're pretty much done for tonight.
Yeah. And topic teaching for next week. I picked parallel processing because I'm working on that anyway, and I'm hoping to get it out of the way. So I hope that doesn't offend anyone.
No, that's fine.
Teaching during our thing, or just everybody's topics?
I don't think we need to do everybody's topics. What is there anything we need to do team teaching on? I don't really. I feel like when we're doing the sharing videos, there's less of a need to do the team teaching,
Yeah.
unless it's like
Yeah.
like the HTTP today was really helpful to me. But
Well, if you look at the main schedule he provided us, most of the just kind of basic learning was supposed to happen in the first 6-7 weeks, and then you're supposed to move into basically just team development. So I don't know that we need team teaching every week through the final week of the semester.
right,
Yeah, I think we've reached the point where we could probably.
Just focus on team development in the meetings. I don't know. Maybe it's a question we can post to T. Roy and see what he has to say.
I've seen some other groups doing where what people do is they individually record themselves teaching and then post it up on their site.
Yeah.
On the Google Plus community page. So they can say that they got their team teaching in and just have everybody watch it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've been doing
Yeah.
sharing videos like that.
Yeah, Summer
mostly
started
for the
doing
sake
that.
of
And I just recommended that John start doing that.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
So what I have for next week is unit testing and front-end development. So can we plan to not do any teaching at our next meeting? I will have, unless I run into more bugs, I'll stub out the code this week. Thank you for helping me figure that out. But I will stub out the code this week and put it up on our GitHub, our shared GitHub, and we can maybe start working on some coding as a group next week, maybe?
I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Or at the very least, assigning out so we can start coding and maybe establishing some coding protocol, like some checkout protocol, so that we don't have a bunch of bugs when we're trying to merge our files.
Yeah. I have one other question in regards to, our GitHub and everything for this and version control. So I was just messing around with trying to get this onto our GitHub. And I guess a question would be, okay, so VCS is version control. I actually added this to Git just to see, but it allows you to choose where in the directory you want it to create the repository, and by default it does it in this app thing, which will include everything here, but does not include like the Gradle scripts or any of the IntelliJ. They're IntelliJ files, even though it's Android Studio. But those are things that are just for like project information, which is good if people just want to open it. Like, I guess what I'm asking is, do we want that data synced across, the project data or just the code?
I would say yes, because that way anyone can run, test the app. I'm afraid, do we need all that? I thought we need it to help with the emulator or whatever.
I mean, everybody has IntelliJ. It's just a matter of if you want to, if you don't include that, I think everybody will have to create the project and have the code there. Or this way, I think all the project files. Yeah. So right now I have it configured to include everything, and I'm about to attach it to our repository. But I wanted to kind of see what your guys' thoughts were. So.
That seems fine. Is there a tool? I couldn't find a tool in there to do it in there. I was going to have to do it from the Git bash. Is there a way to go remotely and
I'm
push
currently.
The repository?
I've created a local repository, but right now I am connecting it to the remote repository, and I'm just using the GitHub for Windows. Like it's an actual program. I don't know if you guys have ever used that before, but I really like
it.
Yeah.
I did download something this week from their site, and I started using it, and it messed up my repositories, so I deleted it and fixed my repositories. I was really, really sad about it.
Can you guys see my screen?
Start.
For some reason, the new Google Plus didn't used to have this problem, but it doesn't like it when I try to share the whole screen for my second monitor. So I have to actually share specific windows, which is annoying. But okay. Can you see?
I'm using 2 monitors and it's working okay. But...
that's not the right one. Okay, here we go. So this is GitHub for Windows, and basically you can. I don't have other repositories on here, but you can clone repositories that you've been added to. I'm a TA, so I'm on a bajillion right now, but. For example, this is my Minesweeper game. It'll let you choose where to put it. And then if I go to the shopping spree thing, this is only local, so it's not showing anything up here. So there's not a whole lot to see on that one. But basically, I should be able to publish this. And in a second here, it'll pop up a window. Anyway, and I can connect it to a remote repository. The nice thing about this is, when you get done with your code changes, you can just hit save, and you can either commit your code through your IDE, through NetBeans or whatever, or you can actually just come here and there's a sync button. But this will show you all of the code history, everybody's changes, and everything right here. You don't have to go to the website at all. So.
Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
Do you want me to use that app that you started tonight for the stubbed out code, or do you want me to make a new project?
Either way, I mean, I'm pretty close to getting it connected. I'm just trying to figure out how to connect my local repository to the remote, but if I can get it connected in a second here, we can use that. It's fine. It's totally blank right now. It's a clean slate, so.
Yeah, that's a good place to do it.
Yeah, but whatever you guys want to do. So I think right here I just need to put the address of my remote repository that I created here, and then I think we'll be good to go. So. Do you guys have any other questions about that or anything?
Nope.
No, just share the link once you get that up. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, and you guys are already on the repository, so let's see here.
That's great, because then I don't have to do this whole roundabout stupid thing. I can just, like I said, I was having a lot of trouble with that folder, so I can just clone that repo, and it'll be super easy. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to see if this works.
You know, it's super embarrassing. I've been using GitHub for like 5 years now, and I still have to look up how to use it. You'd think at some point I would just get it.
Well, it's a little bit complicated, honestly.
There's a lot of clicking around. Yeah, it's tough to navigate for me.
And like some semesters I have to use like the actual command line Git, so I know all the commands, and then other semesters, you know, like when I started using NetBeans for these classes, it's like you can just do it automatically, and then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about tonight?
If you guys don't mind, it'd be great if we looked at the class diagram. I did a little bit more changes to it today, so but yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind looking at that with like together, that would probably be helpful.
Okay, looks like Summer has it up.
What classes did you make changes to? Because I wasn't super familiar with them, like each one of them, but it looks like there's a lot of added methods.
Let me get there. Okay, so I made some changes in. Most of the changes I made were just making sure every attribute had a getter and a setter. So like on item, I did some changes there. And really our item class doesn't have any regular methods right now because all it does is store information. So,
right.
But I just made sure all the getters and setters matched. And then list, I made some changes. So once again, I made sure there's getters and setters for everything. And then I changed a couple things, like I took out the variable names inside of the methods because the variable names that are used inside the methods don't matter outside of the methods. So it doesn't really matter what they're called. So I just made it so it just shows the data type on all of them. Other than that, I didn't really change much, but so don't focus on the getters and setters too much because those are always going to exist, but they're supposed to be on here. But really, what the important things are these other methods that are not getters and setters. For example, we've got some stuff in query, and really some of that probably should. I don't know. I was trying to decide. Some of our query stuff probably should be methods that all they do is handle the database connection, but the actual logic is happening in a different class. I don't know. For example, like a user might have like a sign-in method or something like that, or maybe that's a separate class. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. Not everything that goes to the database should have all the logic in the database in the query one. The query should just be the actual connection, probably.
For user sign-in, should we rely on something like signing in with your Google account or something like that, or are we going to actually create some sort of our own?
There's one thing I will say is if you create your own sign-in system, it fulfills like more than half of our topics, but right there, just with the sign-in system.
Great point.
So definitely the sign-in system. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
We don't have to, though. I think this app has enough functionality that we probably will hit all of them anyway, but it does more to reinforce topics than adding a Google sign-in. But Google sign-in's easier and more convenient for a user. So in real life, I would probably have, if I was building this app in real life, I would probably have Facebook and Google and everything in there. Because there's probably some social features that would be nice, like sharing lists and things like that. But where we're doing this as a learning thing, building our own sign-in system might be a good idea.
And the other benefit to that is there's lots of code online. So like if we get stuck, we can look and see. Do you know what I mean? I really feel better when I start a project on my own when I can see what other people suggest. So that's for me always helpful, especially in a class like this where we have very limited resources provided to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll build our own for now, and then if it gets, if we start running out of time and we've got enough coverage elsewhere, maybe we just revert to using the Google API for that.
Yeah. So
do we need to have a user class, or I mean we have this user, but like a login Sorry,
So-
it's getting late and my brain is starting to stop functioning because I am real tired, people.
No, you're good.
I've not slept in a week.
That's not good. But
Well, yeah, well, I didn't want to mention that part, but that kind of comes with the babies, so
Yeah.
look forward to that.
I know. I told my wife, I'm like, I have less than 2 months left in my life with good sleep. But oh well. No, just kidding. It's all just nods
Maybe in
his
another
head.
20 years we'll get it back, you know? We've got to be optimistic.
No, but then I'll be old and achy and no. But anyway, so as far as the user thing goes, though, like you could have a different class completely that handles authentication if we want to. Really, what we have right here is storing a password as a string in our user, and that's not secure at all.
Right.
So really, that would be handled in a database, but I'm leaving it there for now. You know, you would want that hashed or something, you know. So,
Or,
but I don't know how to do that yet. I haven't really looked at it. So, so we may want to have a completely different class that handles the passwords and authentication and everything, and take that one out of user, but leave everything else there, you know, or something like that.
Yeah. And encrypting actually isn't all that hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been
Yeah.
a couple of years since I did her program, but I could probably figure it out again.
And just to note, like the user class is not really storing information long term. Like you don't store information in a class. It's more of the an interface with the database.
Using it
So-
to, format
Right.
the data that we get. Like, yeah.
yeah, and so like while the users in the app, it can show their name or different things like that. And so if we had multiple users, even if you were sharing this would be where the other user's name would be stored and different things like that. Obviously, their password. Not everything might be stored in every situation, but does that make sense, kind of? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You
sick
could
of
even
this, like,
use,
in the chat.
with that sort of control, we could tie it into some sort of CAPTCHA. How the heck do you pronounce that?
CAPTCHA or whatever.
CAPTCHA. So that we can do some sort of like dual layer authentication where they're verifying that they're punching it in and they're seeing an image that we're feeding or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of covers the whole HTTP connection. We could be pulling that from another site to pull a library of CAPTCHAs.
Yeah, there's lots of options there for sure. So I think the classes that are there are somewhat solid, but we don't have all of our classes yet. There will be more things that this application has to do. So we can start coding the ones we have on there right now if we want to, with the exception of the password thing. We need to have a different solution for that. But we probably need to add more to it. So. But yeah, so I don't know.
Well, based on the wireframe too, I mean, if we kind of follow kind of what I put out there, we're going to have a few other items I threw in there. Like, I don't know if that would just tie strictly to UI, but like theming controls or archiving and trash can type settings, are those strictly going to be tied? Well, the archive couldn't, and the trash can would have to have some sort of connection back to a model that's going to hold that information.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how you implement it, because essentially what you could do is that the database stores all the lists the same way regardless of whether or not they're trashed or anything. You just have a flag in the database that says like is active or something, and if it's active it has a 1, and if it's not it has a 0. And so basically it's going to be using the same methods and everything to get that information in the database regardless of whether it's a trash can or a cart or a list, any of that.
Yeah.
It's doing the same query, it just displays it differently based on the flag or something.
Okay. Well, if you guys wouldn't mind, maybe go through the wireframe, see if there's other things that we need to add. We should probably let Summer get going, though. She needs to get some shut-eye.
Yeah.
Get those little ones taken care of.
Sorry, my kid has to get up at 11 for his heavy coding fix.
No
So.
worries. Or let you get going. But so next week, 8 o'clock for team meeting, but hopefully between now and then we can get on and update the our diagram to include whatever else. And if you guys have suggestions on what you want to add to the wireframe, please just feel free to email it to me, and I can do that labor.
Okay.
Try and do as much as I can.
Right.
My limited knowledge. So.
I'm good.
All right.
Sounds great.
So I think.
Okay.
Thank you guys, everybody, for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Great. Bye, everybody.
Night, guys.